My name is Chris Pavlovski, and I'm the CEO and founder of Rumble.com. Really excited here to talk to you about the impact that blockchain will have on video and television as a whole. Just as a quick, I want to take a quick poll of how many people here are familiar with blockchain already? Good amount. So the way, for the people that aren't familiar with blockchain, I'll try to describe it in the way I understand it. So blockchain allows people like me and you to contribute to a technology and get something in return for it. Now, this technology that we understand it to be, also known as blockchain, is like an organization. It's like a company. It's like an entity. You can call it whatever you like. But the key is that every single time you contribute to this, you'll be able to get something back in return. So whether that's an IP asset, or whether that's development, or whatever that blockchain technology is based on, you'll be able to get something in return. And the most important part about it is that this blockchain is decentralized. There isn't a single entity or person that controls it. It's controlled by people like me and you that contribute to it. And this is having an impact across all industries. And it's happening right now while I'm on this stage, whether it's finance, medical, and obviously video and television is happening right now as well. So not only is it having impact on these industries, I also believe it's going to be transformational on society as a whole and how we do things and how we conduct business, et cetera. And when it comes to TV and online video, it'll have an impact that we're actually going through right now, and there's lots of examples of it right now where it is impacting, and it might not be seen today, and you might not see it yet, and it's kind of been happening for the last 5 years, 10 years, but in the next 10 to 20 years, it'll be everywhere and everybody will be able to identify it. So, like I was saying, there's a transformational phase happening right now on the internet and society as a whole. About 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when the internet started, we'll call this the first phase. There was users, people like us, were able to go to search engines, we were able to type in our search terms, and we're able to get information right at our fingertips. That is what we all know as like Web 1.0, these websites delivering information and we're all able to consume. Now, there was a second phase that occurred, and this was when users now, consumers and people, were now able to contribute to platforms and contribute to websites. They were able to comment, they were able to like, they were able to react, and eventually what happened is that we started being able to contribute our photos, our videos, our content. And it was happening on platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, and it's still happening today. And we know this as Web 2.0. But there's something really broken right now in this phase. And blockchain, or as some people see a derivative of it, Bitcoin, has shown us. Every single time we contribute our content, our video to all these platforms, in most cases, you're getting zero in return, nothing. Every contribution and everything that we contribute is making money for these large companies and these large entities that control these social platforms. But the people that are making the content, the people that are actually providing everything for these platforms are getting nothing out of it. There's no value return at all. And this is what is actually triggering the next major phase of the internet. And we can call it Web 3.0. We can call it the third phase. We can call it whatever we want. We call it blockchain. But what's happening now is that the next major phase, and it's happening right now, and it's been happening, like I said, for the last 5, 10 years, and it's going to be happening for the next 10 years going forward, and so on. But the flywheel is going to start returning back to the people. So for everybody that wants to contribute to any platform, what's eventually going to happen is that you're going to be the recipient of the value for your contribution. And that's going to be the next major phase that is coming and is already happening on the internet and in society in general. So for everything that you do, you'll get something back. And then all these platforms right now that are taking advantage of us and taking advantage of our content are going to need to start giving back. And that is slowly starting to happen. So when it comes to blockchain, we talked about how it functions, but what does it really mean? What is it really going to give back to us? So when it comes to video, and the way I see it is that for video specifically, it's going to provide protection for our IP. It's going to provide transparency. This is key. So if you contribute a piece of content, you want to know who's using it, how much money it's making, how they're using it, etc. Right now, you don't really have that ability with any platform out there. In addition to that, monetization. This is the giving back part. For everything that we contribute to any platform, in the next 10 years, we'll be getting something back for it. So anybody that's a contributor of content or a contributor of video will be able to monetize. And not monetize the way we see monetization today, because as you know, if you're a big influencer and you're providing content, you're making very little for the content that you put a lot of time and effort for. And the fourth point is collaboration. For the very first time, we're moving into an era that is going to be open. This means it's not a closed environment controlled by a company. This is an open area controlled by a blockchain. This is allowing collaboration of all parties involved. So that means if you're the content contributor, you get to see everything on the with transparency. But if you're the advertiser, you now get to pick who you work with on this blockchain. So the creator gets to see the advertiser that's working with them, etc. And that also involves another party. And that other party is the publisher, the broadcaster. If they want to license content, they now have a very easy way to go to the contributor of content and create that transaction with them. So it's the way we're going to see video in the future, it's going to be sitting on top of an open blockchain where all parties are going to be able to contribute in a very seamless manner. So in terms of the current ecosystem, and this is more relevant to Rumble because that's the space that we operate in, this is kind of what it looks like. And this part right here, publishers, they're not really able to participate in this whole ecosystem. This is actually what Rumble is allowing publishers to do. We've taken it the next step. But companies like Vimeo, YouTube, Dailymotion, Facebook, etc., that are getting all this content, this is how it looks. You have advertisers participating in on top of the platform that's closed by these companies. You have creators that contribute, and then they sit on top of an infrastructure, and then there's the publisher component that not all these other companies do except Rumble at this point right now, where publishers can use as well. What's going to happen, and the way it's going to be, it's going to be like this. There's going to be a blockchain that sits in the middle of the entire ecosystem. And that ecosystem is going to have advertisers pick and choose who they want to be part of and associated with. You all see all the problems that are happening on all these other platforms with brand safety. Well, this addresses that. They no longer have to worry about who they're advertising with and who they want to contribute their ad dollars to. They'll be able to have full transparency on where that goes, because clearly that's not happening today. The creators, on the other hand, are going to have full protection of their IP. No one else is going to own it except themselves, and they're going to be able to participate in this blockchain however they feel. And the publishers are now going to be able to go to those creators, because working at Rumble, we see every day companies, whether it's Good Morning America, or it's the Today Show, or it's the late night shows, they're all looking for content that you have made, this viral content, and you see it every day. They're filling their shows up with it, and they don't have an easy way of accessing this content and providing it for their television shows. So the publishers and the broadcasters are now going to have a seamless way to grab content very quickly as well. So this is the way I believe that video will go, and every single platform will live around this blockchain and contribute to this blockchain. So with respect to Rumble itself, this is exactly what we're doing. It is in our DNA, from what we've done since day one, to provide creators with the ultimate transparency that they need. So on our platform, you can actually upload your content, you can see who's using it, where it's being used, etc. In addition to that, we're trying to be as open as possible. And that means that publishers can now collaborate with creators for the first time. So if you're on YouTube and you're uploading your content on YouTube, if a publisher wants to go use that content, there's no way of communicating that to YouTube and making the transaction happen. They're going to have to somehow find your contact information, somehow do a licensing agreement, somehow put all that work together, and they're going to need to do that 1,000 times a day. It doesn't work. So we've already solved for that too. The next step at Rumble is that we're going to take everything that we have and we're going to pull out of the ecosystem like I showed you in that last slide. We're going to decentralize it, the most important part, where every creator will eventually take control of everything they have on the blockchain. So the way to kind of look at it, and the best way to describe it, is that YouTube should be on a blockchain. They're not. Rumble will be on a blockchain within the next year or so. So the number one kicker here is that the future of video itself is going to give control back to you, to the advertisers, and the broadcasters. And it's all going to sit on top of a blockchain. And this is going to happen in the next 10 years, maybe sooner. I think it's going to happen faster, but I'm going to put out 10 years. Thank you.